You remember previously that we talked about parts of speech, the building blocks of a language for communication. Well, one of the major building blocks, one of the major parts of speech are nouns. They're major in English, they're also major in Greek. And nouns refer to a person or a thing. Jesus, the word Jesus is a noun referring to the person of Jesus, and rock is a noun referring to a rock. Now, in Greek, nouns carry more information than they carry in English. You'll remember that we talked about the importance of inflection, how the word ending will change depending on its function in the sentence. So if a noun is functioning as the subject, it will have the subject ending of the noun. If the noun is functioning as an object, it will have the object ending of the noun. Now, speaking of subject and object, this relates to what we call case. Case refers to what a noun does in its sentence, in its clause, how the noun is relating to the other words. There are 5 cases in the Greek language: the nominative case, the genitive case, the dative case, the accusative case, and the vocative case. And we're just going to talk briefly about each of these cases so that you can understand what they're about. First, we have the nominative case. The main function of the nominative case is to indicate the subject of the verb. So if Jesus spoke a parable, then Jesus is the subject of the verb. He is the one performing the action of speaking, and the parable is the object, that is what he spoke. So if Jesus is the subject of the sentence in Greek, the subject is in the nominative case. The genitive case is the case of possession, translated by of or someone's apostrophe s. At least that's how we'll begin to translate the genitive case. The third case is the dative case, which shows the indirect object of the verb, usually translated with to or for. So the man gave a gift to his son, or the man bought a dress for his daughter. Now in that sentence, the object is the dress. The man is the subject, the verb is bought, the object is the dress, and he bought it for his daughter. That is what we call the indirect object. And in Greek, that uses the dative case. The fourth case is the accusative case, which indicates the direct object of the verb. So the man bought a dress. The dress is the object of the verb. What was bought? The dress was bought. And finally, a rare case, the vocative case, it's the case of direct address. So if a speaker or writer wants to call out somebody that they're speaking to, hey you, that sort of thing, or oh son of mine, then the vocative case is used. Now just briefly, I want to show you how these cases affect the way that Greek nouns are spelled, how they're written. Now let's just take the common Greek word logos. You see the word logos there, which means word or thing. Word is the basic meaning. Now, in this spelling of the word, we see 2 major parts. What we call the stem and what we call the ending. 2 major parts that communicate information. The stem tells us what word we're looking at. It's logos. The ending tells us 3 things. It tells us the case. Is the case nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, or vocative? It also tells us the gender of the noun. Is it masculine, feminine, or neuter? And it also tells us the number. Is it singular or is it plural? So, this spelling of logos is the nominative case, masculine gender, and singular in number. If we say wanted to turn this word into an object rather than a subject, we would need to put it into the accusative case, and in that situation it would be spelled like this. And you can see the difference right at the end. So the stem remains the same. Log is the stem, but the ending has changed from os to on. So logos is the subject in the nominative case. Logon is the object in the accusative case. There's one thing to note when we're talking about gender of nouns. Gender should not be understood in the sense of natural or biological gender. We're not talking about masculine things in the way that a man or a boy are masculine, and feminine things like a boy, like a girl or a woman. The gender refers to these groupings of nouns, and some of them do relate in those ways naturally that you might expect, but others don't. So don't fall into the assumption that just because something is a feminine noun that the Greeks thought that the word boat was more of a feminine idea or something like that. That's not necessarily the case. These are really grammatical entities. So the word Israel, for example, is masculine in Greek, while rock is feminine. And you might be surprised. You think, well, rock feels like a kind of masculine kind of word. That's not the point, right? It's simply that grammatically it has the forms, the endings that make it a feminine noun.